now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Good evening, good people. What is going on? Thank you guys so much for logging in. I see at least 50 of you tuned in this evening. Thank you so much. Let me just have a quick look and see what's going on. Gosh, there's never a dull moment in the world, can I tell you? So, the COVID numbers continue to rise. I see some people sending me some stuff today about, I think it was New Zealand. Remember how they had gone a number of days? Let me just double check. And now they have a new, let me just double check that it's them, because I don't want to throw New Zealand under the bus, because I think they have been actually doing really well. But you know, this COVID situation is so precarious, like you just never know, honestly, what is next. And unfortunately, you know, a country can today feel like they're doing fantastic and the numbers are looking good. And then tutus, someone comes in with it and boom, it's like we start all over again. I'm pretty sure it's New Zealand. I'm just going to double check my figures here. But anyway, so this is why I think it's so important. I'm really, really glad that the government listened to this scientific information that's out there. You know, I think that they were trying to push for, they were certainly trying to push for, I guess, reopening in September, but it's just not a realistic deadline. We're like seeing wave 2 and 3 of this thing like all over the world, and there have been increases in Europe. America has just been desperately crazy, and so it seems like it's going to continue in that vein. Even the customs office in Jamaica had to shut down recently. I forget what their exact title is, but they had to shut down their office. I think they reopened it today. Sorry, the Digicel office, their headquarters in downtown Kingston, is closed. That was today as well, after a staff member tested positive for COVID-19. So that was breaking news out of Jamaica earlier. And I'm just trying to find some additional information here. So Russia claims that they have a vaccine. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But yes, it's mad scary. And I think that it's just one of those things where we're going to have to take a wait and see attitude and just kind of take it day by day and moment by moment, because the way the situation stands right now, there's absolutely too much uncertainty with where we are going. So it's better to be cautious than have regrets. Because unfortunately, you know, once the resurgence happens, then it's too late. So New Zealand actually went 102 days without a COVID infection, and they now have 4 cases from a family with no apparent travel history. Yikes. 102 days. I mean, we're rejoicing and we are thinking that we have no cases on island, but you see, this proves the point that you can't ever say that. You've got to keep testing. You've got to keep testing. Now our kids are getting ready to go back to school. So let's talk about that tonight. Good evening, Atlas. Thank you so much. Atlas is first come, first serve. He was the first one in the house this evening. Good for you, Atlas. Miss Ruth is here. We have Alice, the beautiful Alice. Thank you so much, Alice. Appreciate you tuning in. Isabel, of course, is here. Thank you, Isabel. Runika hardly misses a show. Thank you, darling. Maureen hardly misses a show. You guys are the best. You always tuned in. You're always locked in right here. Olivia is here as well, a regular. Of course, Kathy. We know if Kathy is not working that she's going to be here. And Rosanna says we really cannot be on lockdown forever. I know the feeling, Rosanna, but what's the alternative right now? Not forever, but until the world can get things under control a little bit, because we have done so much work for such a small little island. And I think the difference is we're able to really, because of our smallness, we're able to manage the, something like this perhaps a little bit better in terms of closing our borders and just trying to get it under control. But Rosanna, the alternative would be for this to really take hold here in the Cayman Islands and go crazy. That would not be good. So yeah, no one is looking forward to that for sure. It's tough. It really, really is tough, I must say. So good evening, Olivia, Karen. Zanoya says that she's back. I know you've been missing for a minute. We did miss you. Thank you so much for coming back to us. It's like family here in Cayman Mall Road, right? Somebody's missing. You're like, where's Jake? Where's Alric? Where's Rosanna? Where's Kathy? Where's Irma? You start missing people when you don't see them. And a lot of people are just silently watching, but they never really comment. And so I know the regulars, sorry, who do comment. And but I know that there's obviously tons of you who just sit back and relax and watch. You get your tea, your favorite beverage, like the introduction says. Get your favorite beverage ready, whatever that is. Pop it open, pour some hot tea, because we are ready to rock and roll. There's a few people on my personal stream who are joining as well. Let me see who they are. Sometimes people just go over there, they catch it on that end, and they will post and say hello. So Peter, big up to Peter. Peter, thank you so much for locking in this evening, right here in the Cold Hard Truth. So there's only like 6 people watching it from my personal stream, and then we've got like another 68 from the CMR page. That just went up to 71 people on the CMR page. So yes, Sean, thank you, my friend, for tuning in. Sean is always here for it as well. Good evening to you, my dear. And Atlas says that he likes to watch it as a podcast sometimes as he works. Awesome. Because, you can sit back and watch it. Linda, I'm so glad you mentioned this. She's talking about a meeting this evening in South Sound. Only a few were asked to attend. Now, I'm aware of this meeting only because I understood that Mr. Alric Lindsay wanted to attend, and he reached out to, I guess, the PA for Mr. McTaggart, and he was told, and Alric did not tell me this, just for the record. I just want to make sure you guys know this. It's not like Alric is running around telling me stuff. I heard it from somebody else through the grapevine. The Mall Road is always busy. So yes, I heard that he wanted to attend, and evidently he was told that it is by invitation only because of the social distancing situation. So, I mean, I can't imagine. I don't know how many people are in attendance. I don't know if they had a certain number that could attend, and then it was like a cutoff period after that. I'm not really sure exactly of how that is intended to work. Oh gosh, my apologies. Oh, you guys know why I sit up and do the show, right? But why I stand up, I should say. But yes, it was because of the COVID restrictions. But I'm thinking it is the Civic Center at the one there by the one in South Sound by the Consuelo Beach, right? And I don't imagine that a whole lot of people would be in attendance. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But are you expecting like 100 people? How many were invited? How many showed up? I would love to know. But yeah, normally these meetings are open meetings. And so that I think was a little bit unusual. So thank you so much for reminding us of that meeting, because Linda, you're absolutely right. That is a little bit peculiar. So Linda says that yes, your regulars are here. Well, some of them are here, yes. Anne-Marie, thank you for tuning in. Evelyn, there she is, folks. There she is. Good evening to you. Karen says Jamaica has just announced that election date is September the 3rd. Karen, thank you. Let me just tell you what updates we have. What we do know in terms of Jamaica is the following. Let me just get this up for you guys. So I actually got this information yesterday. So yes, Jamaica's election is going to be, here are the details. Hold on one second. Oh, sorry. Somebody just sent it to me as well. On what's up? All right, breaking news. The Premier, Andrew Holness, has announced a general election will be heard on Thursday, September the 3rd. Nomination day is going to be Tuesday, August 18th. My birthday. That's next week, Tuesday, folks. So they're going to have nomination day on my birthday. And so that is what it is. So Jamaican elections are coming up. What a hot time to have elections. Election time. Yep, that's what it is, September the 3rd. So get ready for that, folks. Should be very, very interesting, no doubt. Linda says, I asked to attend as a GTE constituent, but only heard about it from someone else. So was told it would be online this evening. Online where? Never heard anything about that part. Strange. But if that is your district, why can't you attend? It's a little different how that is being handled. Not quite sure I understand it, but okay. If you're going to make it online, why not just do the whole thing online and have everyone attend in a virtual way? Why invite some people in person and then others tell them it's online? It's very strange. Like sometimes I think people need to think about, especially as politicians, how things come across. But anyway, what do I know? I'm not a politician. I'm just here to tell you the cool, hard truth, folks. All right. Okay, thank you so much for that intel, Linda. Sophia, good evening to you, honey. How you doing? Zanoya says, seems like we're going to be excluded from a lot of meetings due to the virus. Sadly, I don't know that that should be the case. Like I said, there are ways to work around it. Hello, Mr. Don. Hello, Ms. Beulah. Janice is here, and Janice has a birthday coming up too, as well. So Janice's birthday is, I think that would be on Sunday, right? Yes, Saturday. So Janice's birthday is Saturday. My birthday is Tuesday. We got some wonderful birthdays this month that we're going to be celebrating. So thank you, Janice. Happy birthday when it comes. Remind us, please, if you're here during the live stream on that day. We want to make sure that we wish you a happy birthday. So I don't know how the whole thing with meetings will work. I mean, I guess we'll have to keep an eye on it and kind of see how it goes from there. But I think, you know, again, you've got to be creative, and there has to be a way of being able to invite everyone to the meeting. So I don't know where this meeting is going to be held and exactly how they're going to make that work. But politics in the Cayman Islands is about to start in full swing. Oh, I just heard that Alric is actually at the meeting. So there you go. They must have decided to let him in after all. Yeah, so apparently he's there. There you go. Updated news, live and direct here on Cayman Mall Road. So Alric is at the meeting. And of course, Alric, I think, would be interested in that particular district, primarily because his district that he's running for, which is Georgetown South, borders Georgetown East. So I am assuming that, he wants to be there to see precisely what is going on. The new constituencies, it's kind of different because, of course, it really breaks it down into some pretty small numbers. So some people kind of feel like, we'll see how that works out. But we've already had one election with one man, one vote. I think it went relatively well in terms of people understanding now that they can only vote for one individual at any given time. So big news out of the US today, speaking of elections and politics, did you guys hear that Joe Biden announced that his running mate was going to be Kamala Harris? She is a junior senator, I think is what they call them, elected in 2017 to the US Senate. And she is also an attorney. She's very well liked from what I can see. She says a lot of things that people are interested in. And the most interesting thing about her is she actually is part Jamaican, believe it or not. So her dad, I'm going to show you guys a picture of her parents here. Here you go. So her mom's Indian and her dad is from Jamaica. And we did a piece on them today that was quite interesting because they sound like they're very interesting people. So they actually met in the 60s at the race protests and stuff like that. Her parents are very much social activists. And her mom was a breast cancer researcher. She actually ended up, unfortunately, dying from cancer some years back. But Kamala is, he's a retired Stanford economics professor from Jamaica, and he studied issues such as income inequality. And her mom, who she described as the most influential person in her life, was a breast cancer researcher. And she's also the daughter of an Indian diplomat. Yes. So the interesting thing about that, and her mom was a women's rights activist as well. So you can see that sort of activism runs in the family. So she graduated from, this is the mother now, Kamala's mom. She graduated from New Delhi at age 18 and moved to Berkeley University to pursue a doctorate degree in nutrition and endocrinology, having never set foot in the US before. And her father, he was at he went to UE, University College of the West Indies, before going to Berkeley, and they met protesting in the 1960s and got married despite her, she basically broke norm with arranged marriages, Kamala's mom. So very, very interesting. The relationship, unfortunately, did not last too long. I think they divorced when Kamala was quite young, but nonetheless, an interesting situation. And I think a lot of people like this combination of Joe Biden and a basically African-American woman. So the most interesting thing about her is she will be only the third woman to have ever ran as a presidential vice president in that slot. You guys remember that there was Geraldine Ferraro in the 1984. I remember that one. I remember her name. And Sarah Palin in 2008. So she's making history kind of all over the place. And in fact, she is a California senator, and she's the first Black and South Asian American to run on a major political party's presidential ticket. First Black woman. So there you have it. Quite an interesting combination. What do you guys think about this? Are they going to take Trump out? Is this a winning team? Is this the winning combo to finally remove Trump from elected office? I don't think it's going to take very much. So, yeah, So Cecile says, "Hey, Sandy, girl, you're so interesting. Listening to, so at this time I turn in and she's got a tea and a smile on her face." Thank you so much, Cecile. I appreciate that. I have a lot of people who tell me that all the time, that they just like listening to the show because we touch on a lot of different things. We don't just harp on any one thing. Like some days, we might be very much focused on one or two things, and then, we move on to something else. So, the protests in the US, for example, we haven't talked about those in a minute, but they are still very much ongoing. And I dare say that they are points of interest. People are still keeping up with the protests, and they're still very much just standing their ground and saying wrong is wrong, and we're not going to really give up. I just saw something here that I'm like, what the heck is this? Okay. Sometimes you see things on social media that make you shake your head. And I just saw one of those things. I'm like, what is this? Okay, might have to unfriend that person. That looks a little weird. Strange. All right, folks, let's keep it moving. So I was seeing something with Carnival Cruise Line and some of the cruise companies talking about the fact that they are going to cancel some of their bookings into next year. I think the bottom line for the cruise industry here, folks, is it has changed beyond ever coming back in the same way. We will not probably see a cruise ship on this island. And I know the Minister of Tourism has just said that, now the focus will be on stayover tourism. It's so ironic, right? Imagine had we decided to pull the trigger on that port against all of what people were saying. If we had pulled the trigger and then got hit by this, and there's no cruise ship coming for a while. It's going to be a long time, folks. And so I cannot help but wonder what the situation would have been like. Where would we be right now had we decided to pull the trigger on that port? So sometimes you've got to thank your lucky stars, Alden McLaughlin. Thank Johan Moxham and the CPR group, Shirley, and everybody else who petitioned and slowed down that port situation to the point now where you could see that it is not a good deal. Because we are seeing some very interesting things come out as a result of really and truly what is happening with the cruise lines and COVID. So there's an actual story right now in the Wall Street Journal talking about cruise ship owners left thousands of workers adrift for months. Unbelievable. About how they left their crew members stuck in vessels waiting to get home. And the crew members were saying that they were stuck. We were in danger and were told nothing. So here's a guy, Chris Richardson, who's saying how he stood on a pier on a private island in the Bahamas, waiting to board his third cruise ship in 6 days, 2 months after, because this was in May. So that was 2 months after the cruise industry had actually suspended operations because of the pandemic. He's a Canadian ice skater, and he'd been a performer on the Giant Liberty of the Seas cruise ship, when COVID struck, and Royal Caribbean Airlines had been transferring thousands of idle crew members from ship to ship in what seemed like an endless quest. Yikes. So this is not a good article about the cruise line and what they did. In fact, it looks like they acted very irresponsibly. Yeah, that's just not good. Wow. You know, we had discussed during COVID some of the staff aboard these cruise ships taking their own lives. And now I'm looking at this wondering, is it really not obvious why they would have done so? Because they were left abandoned. They felt like they had no real options in terms of where they were going. So you can imagine just endlessly, out and about. I don't even know how to explain it because it sounds so weird. Just walking around, I guess, being completely unsure of what your future held. And I think some people did not see a very positive future for themselves. And so as a result, they ended up taking their own lives, which is so unfortunate. So that is not a good situation to be in for sure. We will continue to read that story because I want to read it some more. There have been a number of pieces about Carnival Cruise Line in particular, and they're one of the big ones that were coming in here saying, oh yeah, you need this cruise line, you need to do this, you need to do that. And as it turns out, we would have been getting in bed, it seems like, with some people that are really not the best partners to get in bed with. So at the end of the day, we were really saved by the CPR group and just forward-thinking people who were like, hold on, pump the brakes on this. And I dare say that it happened just in the nick of time, quite frankly. So good for them. So yes, there were other things that the cruise line did. They were not very forthcoming with the information in terms of, like, they actually lied to staff about where the virus was going. They actually exposed staff unnecessarily to this infection, to this virus. And so I think that, there could have been some lawsuits probably coming out of that, to be quite frank and honest. So we'll have to see what happens there. But typical, Carnival Cruise Line, I doubt they're going to take any real responsibility for what it is that they have been doing to people. Yeah, not good. Not good at all. So we will keep you all abreast of that. I'm just trying to see if I can get some more details on this. Just give me one quick second here, and I should be able to tell you. A little bit more about that, but let me read some of your questions. Yes, Beulah says, God works in mysterious ways. Sure seems so. Hi, Nancy. Thank you so much for tuning in. Miss Nancy is one of our regulars, of course. She joins us both in the evening and in the morning sessions for the days that we have the morning segment. So let me just see if I can bring up the Carnival Cruise Line story. Just give me 1 second here, and I will see what I can do to bring that back up. But yes, there's a lot of news swirling around about, like I said, cancellations going into next year. So I would say that's a good idea if you had, because some people book some of the more exotic cruises, some distance into the future. So I would dare say that if you had one of those booked, I would request a refund and get my money back as quickly as possible, because I don't think you're going to be going on a cruise anytime soon. And I would never want to be the first person after COVID to like jump on a cruise. Like, I never get people who do that, who like, oh, I'm going to be the first one to take a tour right now. It's probably not such a good idea, to be honest. I know people get the travel bug, and everybody wants to travel. So not a good idea. So yes, New Zealand is now on alert after 4 cases of COVID-19 emerged from an unknown source. And that is where it kind of starts to get a little bit scary, because what you don't know can hurt you. Right. So in terms of the cruise line cancellations, cruise companies around the world have started canceling 2021 holidays as a result of coronavirus. Smaller charter cruise firms were among the first to start canceling sailings last month. But now some of the bigger ones, including Carnival Cruise Line or Carnival Corporation, has canceled upcoming sailings on 3 of its vessels, including Seabourn, which is the ultra luxury line owned by Carnival Corporation. So trips on the Seabourn Encore, the Seabourn Ovation will be canceled up to November of 2020. And then some trips will be canceled until May of 2021. So that's a ways into the future, good folks. I'm just pulling up this cruise line story. So about the Canadian ice skater, it says here that Royal Caribbean Cruises had been transferring thousands of idle crew members from ship to ship in what seemed like an endless quest to get them home. Yes. And he said that as he streamed by throngs of seafarers waiting to board ships, he saw many without masks. We had no idea if anyone was infected with COVID. You see what I tell you about them putting people at risk? And they've actually, a lot of these cruise companies have actually not only lied to their employees about what was going on, but they lied to federal agencies, and they falsified documents too. So when they knew there were infections on board, they falsified some of that information to try to protect themselves from the wrath of whomever and potential lawsuits. So, there's a lot of people that work on these cruise lines, folks. I mean, a lot of people. So for more than 125,000 crew members, that was only the beginning when the pandemic started. Long after passengers were gone and the cruise ship story had faded from the headlines, thousands of employees were stuck on these vessels, far from homes in places like India, Indonesia, the Philippines, and other far-flung nations, and largely barred from boarding commercial jets to return. The cruise companies decided to sort most of their employees by home country, regroup them on their own cruise ships, and sail them home. The result was a disorganized shuffling of workers between vessels, listen to this, folks, that increased the risk of exposure to the virus. So they weren't helping them very much at all, because of the way in which they were doing it. They were actually increasing the risk of exposure to the virus. Wow. And we know thousands of people were actually infected on these cruises, right? So the Wall Street Journal, again, interviewed staff members and officials in 13 countries, and they described dangerous conditions for employees on ship. The ships owned by the world's largest cruise lines, the same ones coming to build our port and tell us how much they care about people, Some ships allowed employees to congregate in restaurants and bars, serve themselves in buffet lines, which we know is a big no-no for COVID, and hold parties. Some crew members have testified to this, and even ships with COVID-19 outbreaks often didn't enforce such basic preventions, such as social distancing. So apparently the logistics of repatriating crew members to more than 100 nations was a nightmare for cruise companies, including Royal Caribbean, Carnival Corp, and the Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings Limited. Some nations had closed their borders, and while others allowed only limited access under rules that frequently changed, thousands still haven't made it home. What? They're still out there? Wow. So it says that crew members on 100 of the 106 cruise ships for which the US Centers for Disease Control has data suffered COVID-19 infections or COVID-like illnesses between March the 1st and June the 23rd, with 638 crew members testing positive for the virus and another 1,400 plus with COVID-like illnesses not verified by tests, which means that they probably had it. They just don't know for sure because they didn't take a test. At least 23 with the virus died after the cruise ship suspended commercial sailing, according to the CDC, other public health officials, and cruise companies. Wow. And these stats do not include some major outbreaks on ships outside of the US. Remember the one off by Japan as well, where thousands got sick? Crazy. And the ice skater that they were interviewing for the story, Mr. Richard, said that all three of the ships that he had to go on all had confirmed COVID-19 cases or corona-like illnesses. And the companies claim that they distributed face masks and encouraged their use. Unbelievably irresponsible. So good night, Perla. Hi, Sean. Sean's, I believe it will take about 1 year after vaccine is available for the cruise industry to bounce back, if ever, if ever. I mean, I don't know that it will bounce back to pre-COVID numbers. Louis, thank you so much for tuning in. I think we will have to take a wait and see attitude, to be quite frank and honest. But Sean, it's going to take a while for the industries around the world to bounce back. And that is only if a vaccine is successful. So here's other big news. Russia is claiming that they now have a vaccine for coronavirus that's ready to go. Now, I'm a bit skeptical about this, folks. I don't know if we are to trust the Russians on much of anything, much less their contention that they have a vaccine that is ready for humans. However, they made this announcement today, so let's look at what the Russians had to say, because this was definitely breaking news. Sorry, let me just have a look here. Report. Okay, so I'm just trying to find where I saw this one. So I think we saw that we talked about this one already, but Moderna inks a $1.5 billion coronavirus deal with the US. So they're rushing for a vaccine. Oh yes, here we go. Russia registers world's first COVID-19 vaccine despite safety concerns. You see what I'm telling you about the Russians? Do not trust it, folks. I'm sorry, but I ain't trusting nothing coming out of Russia. I'm sorry. They're just as bad as the Chinese with quality control. So officials in Russia and the West express alarm at the speed of vaccine development and the methods used. This is now where I say, gee, the anti-vaxxers are obviously spreading, don't use vaccines, they'll kill you and they'll do all kind of stuff. But if you don't get a vaccine right, you're only buying into that rhetoric. So it makes sense to me that you're going to literally scare people off if you don't get this right. So of course, Russia, Vladimir Putin claims that they have they're the first ones to have a vaccine. And they've made this possible, they claim, through accelerated clinical evaluations. No. That does not sound very good. So they made this huge announcement today, but a lot of people are skeptical about this. And so it raises a lot of questions about the safety of it and whether or not it is indeed going to be helpful. A lot of these global health officials are happy because of this emergency to cut corners. Sorry, my apologies, to cut corners. And honestly, they will do so at the peril of the health of everybody else. So I think they better keep this in Russia, test it, unfortunately, on Putin and his people first. Don't trust it on the Russian people. Let the government officials get it first, and then we'll see what happens, right? That's kind of how I feel that they should do a lot of these vaccines if they're rushing through the process. So some health and pharmaceutical officials in Russia have already expressed alarm at the speed at which scientists in Moscow claim at this Institute for Epidemiology and Microbiology that they've developed the vaccine. So not a lot of people are feeling confident this is going to be it. So they claim that they were testing soldiers, they did accelerated clinical evaluations and shortened trials in an attempt to be the first out with a vaccine. And they are going for a massive immunization program at home and to export it abroad after the same name Sputnik 5, a reference to the satellite it launched in orbit during the Cold War. Sounds a little suspect to me. So I will not be the first to jump in line for this. They've apparently registered it with their Minister of Health and done all these things already. But Russia has almost 1 million coronavirus cases. So we shall see. Yeah, you don't want something that's going to kill people, folks. I mean, come on. Rosemary, thank you, honey, for tuning in. Carol says zombie apocalypse soon come in Russia with that vaccine. Yeah, I'm just not feeling that at all. Linda says, good evening, Sandy. Haven't been on in a while. Busy with my new grandson. Well, Linda, congratulations to you, Grandma. So good to hear. Nice, healthy baby, I hope. Catherine says, don't get me started with the social distancing. Not sure if I'm just tired, stressed, or feeling old, but twice today I had to ask people to back up, to step back when at the cash register, as they were so close, I could almost feel their breath on the back of my neck, really getting pissed off with some people. I don't know what the issue is, why people cannot understand. Give people their personal space, especially during COVID. So I think maybe, Catherine, some people don't know what 6 feet actually is. I mean, I like the markers on the ground because for me, I'm not very good at judging distance. So I kind of need those markers to say, this is 6 feet, that's 6 feet. But yeah, I mean, you kind of know when you're encroaching on people. Like if they can feel the heat of their breath, the heat of your breath on their neck, I dare say you are way too close. Back it up, my friend, back it up. So try to be respectful of people because, I mean, not everyone really likes that. You know what I mean? All right, let me just see what else was on tap for news this evening. There was a few other things that I wanted to mention to you all. So don't forget, folks, if you missed the show this morning, the domestic partnership bill is out before its passage. You've got 21 days. Now it's less than 21 because I think it came out yesterday, but you've got 21 days in law, by which to respond and give your commentary, your feedback, and whatever. And there's an email address set up for you to be able to do that, because remember now, it makes no sense to go to your MLAs. This is the people, this is the governor that is taking control and the FCO of this situation. So if you want your comments to be heard, you've got to now email the governor's office and send that information directly to the FCO or the governor's office. They will take your feedback and they will then take it into consideration. So Rosanna said people are saying that the virus is not in Cayman anymore. Shaking my head. That's why people are not listening. Well, we can't say that 100% definitive that's not here. What we can say that as of today, 31,881 tests as of 3:15 have been conducted here. And remember, there's some people who are being tested multiple times. And we have 203 confirmed cases, 1 death, 202 recovered, and 0 active cases at this time. And we have been trending with 0 active cases now for, I think it's over a month. So we've been trending pretty well with that. And we just have to stay the course. Maintain the social distancing, the wearing of the mask. I mean, I still try to, as much as possible, stay indoors. And I'm not going around a whole lot of large crowds and stuff like that if it can be helped. So, yes. So, yeah. Let me just see here. Oh my gosh, I think I better try to go to bed early tonight. Folks, I say that every night. Trust me, I really do say that every night. And then it just never happens, You've got good intentions, and then next thing you know, it's like midnight. You're like, why am I still doing up? So, la la la. Yes, I don't trust the Russians. Massachusetts has new COVID-19 restrictions. Oh, there is a potential storm out there brewing. And it looks like it's going to be more north of us, but you guys know how these storms are. So you have to be careful of this one. It unfortunately looks like it could be headed right for the Bahamas. And my gosh, the Bahamas do not need any such thing. They don't need another storm. So I'm really praying that it somehow maybe even goes north of the Bahamas and it skips them. I don't know. Because those poor people can't take any more hits of anything. Like another storm is crazy, but this is predicted to be a higher than normal season. So, we need to be on the alert. We need to be on the lookout for what this means for us. I think the name for this one, let me just see here if I have the name. This one is, trying to remember the name of the storm. Give me 1 second. Because they've got the projected name already. Okay, I need to have a look at that one and see. just trying to see what the name of the storm is. But anyway, we're going to keep an eye on, Josephine. So we're going to keep an eye on Josephine and see what happens. And we shall take it from there, I guess. I mean, what can you do, right? All right, folks. Just trying to see if there's anything else that we need to go over tonight before calling it a night. And if not, we're going to wrap it up a little bit early. So, yeah. Yep, so I think that that's pretty much all I've got for you guys this evening. I just realized that I totally forgot an appointment today. I think I better check on that one for sure. Totally slipped my mind, folks. Oh, big shout out to the civil servants who have been doing an initiative with the NAU Social Committee. They are giving back in a big way. So kudos to all the civil servants involved in this. I think this is wonderful. They have organized themselves and they're making donations to those who are less fortunate than them. And I know that we were briefly talking about the importance of doing that this morning. No matter what your situation is in life, folks, there's always someone who is worse off than you are. So yeah, that's how it's gonna go. And so yes, this report came out about, I think Mr. Frans Manderson is behind this initiative. So kudos to him, job well done. So congratulations to Frans and the rest of the civil service for wanting to give back to the community, because I think, like I said, this is very, very important. So here are some civil servants pictured here in this photograph, and they have a bag full of donations, and it's called CIG Cares Community Support Program. And so we will see how that goes. All right, good people. I believe that that is all I've got for you until tomorrow morning. So stay tuned. It's just about 8 o'clock. We're a few minutes shy of 8 o'clock. So I want to invite you guys to continue to tune into the program. We'll be back in the morning. We've got a couple of things that we've been monitoring, a couple of things on the agenda that we will definitely be discussing. So please tune in for those. And I'll see you guys at roughly 7:15. We always get started right around 7:15. So good night to Rosanna, Miss Rosemary, Joy, Carol, everyone who tuned in this evening. Thank you guys so much for locking in to the Cold Hard Truth, the evening edition, which is every Tuesday and Thursday. I see some of you also tuned in via our YouTube channel. So we appreciate you keeping it locked right here to this channel, I guess is what we can call it, where we try to bring you all the latest news and happenings here in the Cayman Islands. So I'll see you guys in the morning, God's willing, and we'll catch up with what else has been happening in the world around us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.